Hi, in today's video, we're going to delve into the answer to the question, how do you become a homeschool teacher? Whether you want to just teach your own children or become a teacher for other children, there are certain things you'll want to be thinking about, and in some cases you'll need to do in order to be considered a legitimate homeschool teacher. Some of it might be state regulation-wise, and others would be just your own credentialization of your background. So we'll explore the answer to that question in this video. First part of this video, we're going to talk about the necessity to look at all the legal requirements in order to teach children, whether your own or other people's. You want to be able to make sure that whatever state you're in, you are doing what is legally right and responsible. Second part of this video, we're going to be talking about curriculum-wise and your ability to teach all or any one subject, create curriculum, structure curriculum, and go through all of that process. Third, we'd be talking about the strategies for teaching, setting up the teaching environment, learning to deal with children and their motivation or lack thereof, and discipline, and all of those things that are necessary for really being an effective teacher. Fourth, of course, we want you to talk about mindset and understanding the importance of mindset and how to help children shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, because shaping that mindset is going to happen either subtly and unconsciously or purposefully and directly, and you want to make sure you're doing the latter. Lastly, we're going to look at a real-life example of a mom who became a teacher, not just for her own children, but others as well. So it's obviously important to understand what the restrictions are or the legal obligations are if you want to be a teacher, not only for your own children, but other children. Every state's going to be a little bit different. Every state's going to have variations of it. There are some certain aspects that around licensing and all that you still might be able to teach homeschool, right? Your kids, even other kids. But if you aren't a licensed teacher by the state, then a licensed teacher might have to sign off on all the things that you are doing in order to get credit if you're seeking a diploma through the state. So those are the kinds of restrictions and legal aspects you would want to be checking out to try to understand. Some states are more strict with the ability for you to teach people other than your own children, and some are less restrictive. So depending on where you live, you really want to kind of make sure you are looking. But generally speaking, you do not have to become a licensed teacher to teach your own children or other children. What will factor in will be your ability to deliver standardized tests and your ability to sign off on the curriculum that your children have done in order to get, quote, credit from the state. Those will be much more, vary greatly between state and state. But generally speaking, you don't need to be licensed by the state in order to teach your own children or other children. So the second part of becoming a teacher and an effective teacher is really thinking about curriculum and your own expertise in any given area. If you have an expertise in a given area and feel very comfortable in a given area, then you may find it natural and exciting to create your own curriculum. You might not feel that gifted. Maybe you don't feel comfortable teaching writing. So you might want to find a structured writing curriculum that you can just implement as the teacher in the room to help follow the rules, follow their guidelines, and go through their whole processes and you are basically the administrating a curriculum. That is one aspect that you want to be thinking about when you get into teaching. Somebody who's going to be homeschooling may have to teach a whole bunch of subjects all the way up even into high school, and your ability to do that as the kids get older with their curriculum may require more structured curriculum programs that you can just kind of implement. And this is where self-directed learning can also come in to play. One of the great challenges for a teacher, whether this is a even licensed teacher or not, is being effective with the vast variety of children you face. So there's certain strategies that you have for one, managing a classroom, right? The number of students will impact that as well. When you have a whole lot of different learning styles and abilities within the classroom, do you have any child who's going to be part of this co-op that you might be doing? If you're going to be educating others who has a learning challenge or learning disability, and how do you handle that? There's strategies that are involved in doing all of those things. But with 30 years experience in classrooms, one of the most powerful tools at your disposal is your own mindset and ability to build relationships with your students. That relationship you have with your students is going to be enormously impactful when they're having a bad day. And they will. When they are frustrated with one of their homeschooling classmates, which will happen. When they just aren't getting it and you are getting frustrated because you aren't quite sure how to help them get it. Those relationships that you have will be incredibly powerful in navigating that. Your ability to think outside the box. When they aren't getting it, what else might I try? To think creatively to solve that problem. That's why we talk about your mindset. All of those things are enormously beneficial than just understanding how to create lesson plans. So to be a good teacher, to become that homeschool teacher that you want to become, your mindset's going to be crucial. You want to have that growth mindset yourself. You need to model that, but you're also going to need to have it to be able to deal with the things that happen within a classroom. Now, depending on the number of children that are going to be under your care at any given time, will dramatically influence how you shape the day, how you go about structuring things. You are going to be ultimately responsible, not just for implementation of curriculum, but implementation of the learning climate. Your ability to think on the fly, to work on the fly, to be able to ask the right questions, to be able to structure times where conversations happen, where questioning happen, where groups, the classroom, kids get a chance to ask and answer each other's questions. All of that kind of structural components are going to be you. That comes from your mindset, your ability to feel comfortable in those settings and to feel comfortable directing those, but it's also incredibly important and valuable in shaping the mindsets of the students you're working with. All right? There is a whole lot to be said for self-directed learning and independent learning and letting them work at their own pace and all of these things. Incredibly powerful model for education. But so is in group learning and group conversations, group dialogue and questioning and all of those things that will bridge this idea from going from grammar to logic to rhetoric involves this very process of questioning amongst other people. And you would be responsible for that. And that helps shape their mindset, but you have to have the right mindset to do it well. For a real life example, I want to share the story of Sarah. Sarah was a mom who was homeschooling her children. And then when the pandemic hit and kids were out of school and the whole going back to school after the pandemic, a whole lot of families were apprehensive about that. So there was a rise in the need for homeschooling, somebody who could teach other homeschool families or other families who were like, oh, maybe I want to homeschool now. So Sarah created a co-op and she became the teacher, the person who's teaching 5 other families. And she continued on with that. That became her job, her business. She became the teacher for this school, for this homeschool. She was in charge of the curriculum, the delegating of the lessons, the planning of the day, the planning of the field trips, all of those aspects of running a little school. That was her job. So she went from just being a mom homeschooling her own children to turning that into a little business where she ran a co-op and taught other families. I invite you to subscribe to our channel, check out our other videos, check out my podcast as well, and you might be very interested in subscribing for our free webinar, Enhance Your Students' Performance to Next Level Success in Athletics, Academics, the Arts, and Life. The link to that webinar will be found in the description, and I encourage you to subscribe to that today.